Welcome again for today's current affairs classes, and today we'll be covering basically of 26, 27 and 28th of July, since we couldn't carry yesterday because of electricity and the rain issue. Before I start, I would like to start with a quote that is given by Captain Manoj Kumar Pandey, who has been awarded Paramvir Chakra posthumously in the Kargil War. You all are aware of this Kargil War, right? Which was fought between India and Pakistan in 1999, which actually initiated and started in December and finished in July. This is a regiment, Gora Rifles, and this is PVC, that is Paramvir Chakra. Manoj Kumar Pandey said, "Some goals are so worthy, it's glorious even to fail." What I'm trying to convey here is, sometimes it's worth to go beyond limit, even if it is not required to win. Even it is for knowledge, there should be a zeal, there should be one keenness to learn things and go beyond. So it is quite similar to that. So I believe you understand the part as well. The reason of giving this was to tell you that July 26th, recently which passed, is celebrated as Kargil Divas. The reason is, on this day of July, India declared winning side in India and Pak fight, right? India and Pakistan fight. So Kargil Divas, and this was the 19th anniversary since 1999. Okay, now what is important things to understand over here in Kargil mission is, Kargil mission was successful in July 26, 1999, actually, which started in December. Okay, there were two operations, Operation Vijay and Safed Sagar. Okay, now Operation Vijay is what? The Operation Vijay was to clear the Kargil war. Basically, this was to clear the Kargil sector by Kargil war, which was infiltrated by Pakistani soldiers and Kashmiri militants on the side of the line of control. This was basically occupied by the militants and Pakistani Pak soldiers and militants in the line of control. Line of control is basically the line which is drawn, which is a line which divides both India and Pakistan. When we go to the background, basically the war took place, though it was initiated in December, the aggressiveness of the war actually started in December, but the Cold War for this Kargil began somewhere near in May and July. So there were three things: May and July of 1999 in Jammu and Kashmir, Kargil district. Okay, it began with the infiltration of both Pakistani troops and terrorists into Indian territory. In the similar manner, Safed Sagar is also remembered whenever Kargil Divas is celebrated, because Safed Sagar is Indian Air Force. It was the Indian Air Force operation, and it was the first time. It was the first time where Air Force was used as air power at the height of 32,000 feet for the first time. This was the first time air power was used at 32,000 feet by the Indian Air Force. So this was the war reason, and here This was the war region that is above the sky at 32,000 feet by the Indian Air Force. So the operation in ground was called as Operation Vijay, whereas operation in sky was called as Safed Sakar. Right? Now when we are talking about war, so it is quite obvious. As I told that we celebrate this. Finally, the mission was successful in July 26. The actually aggressiveness started in May and July, but the Cold War began in December itself, the previous year. Anyway, coming back, when we are talking about war, we need to understand the years when India have fought war, right? Now, when we go across this, the first war, this was the first war in 1947 between India and Pakistan when there was partition, right? Partition between India and Pak. Earlier, before that, India and Pakistan were together. Then 1948, the second was Operation Polo that was fought against Hyderabad, right? Hyderabad was basically captured by the Nawabs. It was not independent. It was captured by Nawabs. So later on, by the force of military, the Indian side, the government of India have annexed Hyderabad into India. Next war post-independence was Goa Liberation War. Here, the main agenda here, the first one was the war because of partition. The second, 1948 war, the name of the war was Operation Polo. Here, basically, Hyderabad was annexed to India. Whereas the third war, 1961, which was fought against Portuguese, here again, Goa was annexed to India. Okay, the name of the war was Goa Liberation War. Then comes the Indo-China War in 1962. This was the fourth war. Here the reason of war was two things. One was obviously the Dalai Lama, because the Dalai Lama was given refuge in India and China was very much upset with this. Apart from this, moreover, the region of Aksai Chin in Jammu and Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh, the dispute of these places all have been always remain in surface because India claims Arunachal Pradesh as its own territory, whereas China claims Arunachal as their own territory. So because of those few reasons, there was a war between India and China, where actually China attacked India in the late night when the soldiers were sleeping. Okay, so during all this period, this 1, 2, 3, 4, the prime minister. Okay, so the prime minister was Jawaharlal Nehru, the first prime minister of India. Then in 1955, again there was a war. The prime minister was Lal Bahadur Shastri, and this war is quite famous from all war because in this war Indian soldiers have marched till Lahore. They have entered Pakistan and they have marched till Lahore. But India, being a very polite and a respectful country, have remained with its own words and have returned back those area back to Pakistan. After 1965, the next war was fought between India-Pakistan again in 1971. And here the Prime Minister then was Srimati Indira Gandhi. Here a new country have emerged, and then that country is called as Bangladesh. That is, Bangladesh was liberalized in 1971. Earlier what happened is, this was a country, so pardon for the diagram. This is only for your understanding. So here, this is Bangladesh and this is Pakistan, right? So this was called as West Pakistan, whereas this was called as East Pakistan. So in 1971, this East Pakistan was annexed and it was liberalized, and the new country was formed, and that country is called as Bangladesh today. And this Bangladesh was liberalized in 1971 after the war between India and Pakistan. Here, Mukti Bahini Morcha have also took part in helping the Indian army defeating Pakistan. And the last war or the recent war is Kargil war, which was fought in 1999 in Pakistan, which I was talking about. So this is so 26th July is basically celebrated as Kargil war, because this is one of the war which have extended for a long time. And why this important happen and famous out of all war happen historical, but apart from this is celebrated. All why this only this has been celebrated is the reason is actually the Pakistani sides were sitting above. I mean, they were in the hills and our army was down in the ground, and it was quite impossible and tough to reach to the top fighting against them. But our brave soldiers have, without fearing their lives, have gone to the top. Few died in on the way, but finally what they have done is they have won the war, right? So that is why Kargil war is also a famous war. So when we are talking about Kargil, we are talking about war. We should know all the war that we have fought with different countries or states over the years after independence, right? I hope I'm clear to all and you should be understanding now, right? So as per country, the first one is obviously 1947, the next one is 1962, 1965, 1971, 1999, right? There are 5 wars against the countries, okay, out of which one is with China in 1962, all others are with Pakistan. Clear? I hope. Here I have missed the last one. The Kargil, when this Kargil war was fought, the Prime Minister then was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Okay, fine. Now we'll go to the next part of our news. The next part of our news is BRICS Summit 2018. Now, what is this BRICS Summit? What is this BRICS Summit? Basically, BRICS stands for this BRICS. So B stands for Brazil, R stands for Russia, I stands for India, C stands for China, and S stands for South Africa. And this BRICS Summit 2018 is organized this year in 2018 in South Africa. Okay, so the summit is tabled in where? In South Africa. Here, I want to bring our attention that to this BRICS, I have basically mapped these 4 questions. What, where, why, and the developments, right? Now, before that, before I go further, since we know that this is a summit between this, so we need to first understand the 5 countries, like the common basic features. Like in India, what is the capital of India? New Delhi. Who is the Prime Minister? Obviously, Sri Narendra Modi. And what is the currency India we are using? It's rupee. Similarly, when it goes to China, what is China? China's capital is Beijing. Currency is yuan, and president is Xi Jinping, right? So similarly, when it comes to Russia, what capital is Moscow, currency is ruble, right? And president is Vladimir Putin, right? So similarly, we need to understand the South Africa as well as Brazil's importance as well, right? Now, because these are the very basic, so whenever we are reading anything about related to anything, it is quite important, right? So here, what about South Africa? South Africa capitals, there are three capitals basically: Cape Town, Pretoria, and Bloemfontein, right? There are three capitals of South Africa, right? Even Rand is used at times, okay? So anyway, South Africa capital, as I told, Cape Town. I should better write it. South Africa capital, Cape Town, Pretoria, because these very basic questions do emerge at time. Bloemfontein, okay. Similarly, what is the currency? Anyone can guess the currency? The currency is none other than Rand. The currency for Africa is Rand. R-A-N-D. Rand. Similarly, who is the president for South Africa? It is Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa, right? Similarly, we'll go to Brazil. Okay, we'll go to Brazil. Brazil credentials, like what is the capital of Brazil, right? Can anyone imagine the capital, currency, and the president of Brazil? Basically, the capital is Brasilia. The capital is Brasilia. President is Michael Temer. Michael Temer. And the currency. Currency, can you guess? Currency is none other than Brazilian real. Brazilian real, right? Real. So when we are going for BRICS, it is important to understand the basic things of BRICS as well. Now, coming back, what is the basically need? Okay, what is the basic need? Like, what is exactly BRICS? BRICS is basically acronym, right? BRICS is basically an acronym, right? Acronym of what? This Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It is basically an acronym for the grouping of world's leading emerging countries, right? And those are like, I have already told what are those, right? B for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, S for South Africa. This BRICS Leader Summit is basically convened annually. Every year it is convened with discussions representing spheres of political and socio-economic coordination. And in this, in which the particular member countries have identified several business opportunities, economic complementaries, and area of cooperation, right? The chairship of the forum is routed annually. In this BRICS Summit, every year the chairman is rotated. No chairperson of same country remains for a long term. Over and above the summit, BRICS cooperation in the past decade have expanded to include an annual program of over 100 sectoral meetings. Apart from this, these have been very successful and have included an annual program of over 100 sectoral meetings. Cooperations among members is predicted on 3 levels or tracks of interactions. So the cooperation among members is predicted under 3 tracks. One is track 1, 2 and 3. The first track is a formal diplomatic engagement between the national government. So this is a diplomatic engagement between the countries. The second track is engagement through government affiliated institutions like, for example, state-owned enterprise and business councils with state-owned institutions or enterprises and business organization. And the third one is people-to-people engagement. People to people, P2P. Here, these bricks have been shared and the tracks of interaction have put laid in 3 areas in 3 tracks, right? So track 1, diplomatic engagement, track 2, this state institution engagement or business council engagement, and track 3 is people to people, right? Now here, where this BRICS summit have held, it recently held in obviously South Africa, but it keeps changing every year, country to country within this 5 countries. Why this BRICS summit was important? See, generally what happened is the big amount of money, if a country needs loan in a big amount for any certain project, that country have to depend on basically IMF, that is Indian International Monetary Fund. We have to depend in that and we need to seek loan from that big institution. Now what happened after this BRICS have come, this BRICS have under the development agenda, they have come up with their own bank, NDB, New Development Bank, which is based in Shanghai, and the chairperson is Indian, that is Kamath. KV Kamath is basically chairperson of that NDB bank, which is there located in Shanghai. This NDB bank, New Development Bank, was established on the consent of these 5 countries, and this have been a parallel bank where now after this bank have come, the dependency of IMF have came little down. How they have done is this BRICS summit, this BRICS nation have added their bit of amount in this bank, and this bank is now emerging as a new loan provider for upcoming projects for this BRICS nation. So this is how this BRICS have been very successful in the recent years, and of all this, NDB had played a very important role. Whereas the first BRIC, when we are talking about where again, though the BRICS summit today this year is held in South Africa, but the first summit was held in Russia. The first BRICS summit was held in Russia in Yekaterinburg. Whereas the 9th today, which is happening, is the 10th BRICS summit, and before this, the previous summit was held in China in Xiamen. Where? In Xiamen. So the first BRICS summit held in Russia. Today, this year, which is happening, is 10th one. Where it is happening? South Africa, Johannesburg. And before this, last year, it was held in 9. That was the 9th summit in China, Xiamen. Okay, China. It was first, actually the BRICS summit was placed in 2009 as well. Okay, so it is important that one should be very clear on understanding on the BRICS nation. Okay, under this there are, when we are talking about development here, I have talked only on banking. There are also other areas where development have took place, like establishment of a working group of peacekeeping have initiated, establishment of a vaccine research center for collaboration with BRICS vaccine innovation and development partners has been initiated. This is intended to be a physical research center focused on research and development. Apart from this, establishment of a BRICS Gender of Women Forum have initiated. And last but not the least, BRICS tourism track of cooperation have also initiated, right? So NDB is one that is on the banking sector and development one. The second one I'm writing here because of lack of space over here. So the next one was on peacekeeping. First development was new development bank, then peacekeeping. Then is a vaccine research center. Then BRICS gender for equality. BRICS gender for equality. And last but not the least, tourism track of cooperation. Okay, so these are the few areas where development have been improved a lot, and we have seen the countries have seen in positive, and this BRICS have been a very successful summit so far. Right now, I'll go to the next topic. The next topic I have mentioned is Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill 2018, which have been passed recently in the Parliament. Here, this is a cutting. You can see this is a newspaper cutting where it is mentioned minimum 7 years in jail. Bill proposes rigorous imprisonment of at least 7 years, extendable to 10 years for those engaging in buying or selling a person. So here you can see here, you could have understood by now what is this exactly. Buying or selling a person. Okay, so anyone found or any case come across where a person is trying to buy or sell a person, trying to uh, make that person feel as a commodity, is going to face minimum 7 years of jail, which is extendable up to 10 years. This is actually in line because in many areas, what there have been cases where girls and children are trafficked either for flesh trading or for forceful organ replacements, right? And apart from this, the fine is not only included for the 7 to 10 years, as mentioned, will also be fined rupees 1 lakh. Anybody who distributes or sells or stores in any electronic or printed form of incidents of sexual assault for extortion or coercion of victims or his family or for unlawful gain can be jailed for 3 to 7 years as well. Even here, this is an important point. If anyone try to blackmail in terms of sexual assault by any incident, either electronic or printed form, is going to face a jail for 3 to 7 years. Apart from this, National Anti-Traffic Bureau will also propose a state-level anti-trafficking officers. So the center of this will be working in two phases: central and state level. Both ways, the both level of anti-trafficking officers will be working round the clock to check for this trafficking of persons. This particular bill spells out measures for relief and rehabilitation of victims of trafficking and sex, formation of a committee. Now, we need to understand what are the key features of this. The key features of this, the very first key feature of this is National Anti-Trafficking Bureau, as I have mentioned, as it is mentioned in the news cutting. The second one is, what is the function of this bureau? If this bureau comes, what will be this function of bureau? The real function of bureau. Third is state trafficking officers. Fourth is anti-trafficking relief. and Rehabilitation Committee, then the Protection and Rehabilitation, time-bound trial, penalties, and so on. Okay, so let me talk about first one by one. Basically, here, if you go for the first one, the key feature, if I go for the first key feature, National Anti-Trafficking Bureau, the bill basically provides for the establishment of a National Anti-Trafficking Bureau to investigate trafficking cases and implement provisions of the bill. The Bureau will comprise of police officers. Listen very carefully. The Bureau will comprise of police officers and any other officers as required. It may take over the investigation of an offence under the bill. Further, the Bureau may request the state government to cooperate in the investigation or transfer the case to the state government for investigation and trial based on the case, which depends to whatever states. The function of this Bureau basically will be the coordinating and monitoring surveillance along known routes, facilitating surveillance, enforcement, and preventive steps at source, transit, and destination points, maintaining coordination between law enforcement agencies and non-government organizations and other stakeholders, increasing international cooperation with authorities abroad for intelligence sharing and mutual legal assistance, because it have been understood like in recent years even girls have been trafficked to Middle East, so even that will help, right? So the next point here is state trafficking officers. So under the bill, the state government will appoint a state nodal officer. He will be responsible for following up actions under the bill as per the instructions of the state anti-traffic committee, providing relief and rehabilitation. The state government will also appoint a police nodal officer at the state and district levels. The state government will also designate anti-trafficking police officer for each district to deal with all matters related to trafficking in district. Coming to the fourth point, anti-trafficking relief rehabilitation committee. This is important because this bill will provide, the first is providing compensation to the victims. If any such victim is found or come across, they will be compensated. Repatriation of victims as well as reintegration of victims in society and among others will be the responsibility as well. When it comes to the protection and rehabilitation, the bill requires the central or state government to set up protection homes. So the government is thinking on this. This would be providing indeed shelter, food, counseling and medical services to victims. Further, the central or state government will maintain rehabilitation homes in each district to provide long-term rehabilitation to the victims, right? Time-bound trial, it should be a time-bound trial. And coming to the last but not the least, if I come to the penalties, the bill basically specifies the penalties for various offenses, including trafficking of persons, promoting trafficking. Even if someone promotes trafficking, that will be equal responsible and equal illegal purpose. Disclosing the identity of the victims, aggravated trafficking, such as trafficking by bonded labor and begging. For example, aggravated trafficking will be punishable with rigorous imprisonment from 7 to 10 years as mentioned in this cut, right? Along with a minimum fine of 1 lakh rupees. Further, the publishing of any material which may lead to trafficking of a person will be punishable with imprisonment between 5 and 10 years and a fine between rupees 50,000 or 1 lakh. Why this anti-trafficking bill was needed? Yes, it was needed, of course, because more than, we need to understand why this was needed. So because let me make it in point wise here itself, because more than 3 lakh of children went missing in the country between 2012 to 2017. based on the official records. In official records, 3 lakh children have been missing during this period. Around 1 lakh are yet to be traced, out of which 2 lakhs have been quite traced, whereas 1 lakh are yet to be traced, and it is feared that many of them could have been trafficked. For example, in 2016, I'll take an example of 2016. For example, in 2016, for instance, 1 lakh 11,000, nearly 1 lakh 11,600 children were reported missing, out of which 55 out of 1 lakh something, 1 lakh plus children, 55,000 children were traced, but only 8,132 children trafficking cases were reported. Out of 1 lakh, only 8,000 cases were reported. And many of these children are victims of modern slavery. Those modern slavery are like prostitutions, labor, or domestic work. They are also used as drug mules and even given up for adoption illegally. Poverty and lack of opportunity also pushes a lot of young women, especially from the interior parts of West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Jharkhand, into prostitution. Despite the enormity of the problem, India lacks a single comprehensive law. India needed a single comprehensive law for human trafficking because this is inhuman, and this certainly violates one's importance, one's fundamental right on Article 14, 19, and 20. It clearly violates these three. Article 14, right to equality, Article 19, right of speech, and Article 21, freedom to life. So above all, this Article 21 is clearly a violative as per the Constitution, and it is the duty of the government to provide shelter, to provide justice to the children who have gone across this, right? I hope I'm clear. Next, recently, West Bengal Assembly have passed resolution to rename state as Bangla. Means what? West Bengal have already passed a resolution that henceforth West Bengal should be called as Bangla. It is in line with their language Bangla. It is in line with their language Bangla. So they have passed a resolution to be called as Bangla. Why? What is the reason behind this? What is the rationale behind this renaming? The state government basically first proposed this renaming in 2016. They have first proposed in 2016. West Bengal Parliamentary Affairs Minister Partha Chatterjee had then argued for the change, saying bureaucrats and politicians from the state often complain that they are asked to speak at the end of every national level meeting in Delhi. This was because the speakers list at such meetings are prepared according to alphabetic order of the states they represent. If West Bengal gets a new name, it will leapfrog. Since what happened, whenever this bureaucrats of the states are asked to complain, what happens is basically alphabetically order. Basically, the union government, the government basically gave opportunity to bureaucrats of all the states in alphabetic order, like A, B, C, D. Say, for example, A is for Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So similarly, West Bengal starts with W. So by the time it comes W, it is too late. So to bring into an early position, they have positioned this into B, that is in Bangladesh. So this is a reason that has been quoted by the West Bengal. So if West Bengal gets the new name, it will leapfrog from the word W from the bottom of the list to the top. Okay, the renaming will help the state appear at fourth spot. Obviously, it will come if B is leapfrogged. It will come at fourth post only after Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Assam. So the other three states will be in front will be Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Assam, and the fourth one will be Bangla, obviously West Bengal. So this renaming will help the state appear in the fourth stop. Now what? What is going to be the next? The name change will only become official, though it have passed in West Bengal resolutions, but India is not going to recognize Bangla until and unless it get approved from the Union Home Ministry and the Parliament passes the bill. Until and unless the Parliament passes the bill and signed by the President, this particular name is not going to come into force in India. Of course, in West Bengal it had passed, but the Indian parliamentary it had not passed. So the name change will only become official when resolutions get approval from Union Home Ministry and Parliamentary Home Affairs. Right? Now, the procedure of renaming the state can be initiated either by, now when we are talking about this renaming of the state Bangla, we need to understand the procedure. Say for example, a state want to rename, what should be the procedure, or the state legislature procedure for either for the parliament or the state legislature. First, the renaming of state requires parliamentary approval under Article 3 and Article 4 of the Constitution. So here the Constitution Article 3 and 4 comes into picture. Article 1 talks about the formation of states, naming of a state, whereas Article 3 and 4 talks about if we are going to rename a state, it requires definitely parliamentary approval. Without parliamentary approval, this West Bengal cannot be named as Bangla. Okay, it is only passed in state, but it have to be also passed in the constitution in the parliament as per Article 3 and 4 of our constitution. Only after that only it can be called as Bangla. A bill for renaming a state may be introduced in parliament on the recommendation of the president. So since this is passed, now this bill can be passed into parliament on the recommendation of the president. Before the introduction of the bill, the president shall send the bill to the respective state assembly for expressing their views within a stipulated time. The views of the state assembly are not binding neither on the president nor on the parliament. So it is important for the president that before the bill comes to parliament, it have to go to the state assembly for reconsideration within a stipulated time, though the time is not bound for either with anyone. And the expiry of the period, the bill will be sent to the parliament for deliberation. The bill, in order to take the force of a law, must be passed by a simple majority. The bill is sent for approval to the president then. Once the bill is passed in parliament with a simple majority, the bill will be sent for approval to the president, and after the approval of the president, the bill becomes a law. So you can understand, the first it goes through the state legislation, it have legislation, then it have to go to the president. President again asked to consider. After consideration, it go to parliament. Once it is passed with a majority from parliament, it goes to the president for signature. Once the signature of president is done, and then this bill becomes a law. Until then, this cannot become a law. And once this become a law, and then only West Bengal can be called as Bangla. Clear? So these are the few things one have to understand when we are going through a topic. So this is how I have mind map. Apart from this, I'd like to bring your attention to a little bit of history, that how the renaming have been done in recent. Let us start with the very beginning. East Punjab to Punjab. It was in 26th January 1950, the first renaming. Okay, in 1950, the place Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, and Punjab, okay, until then was called as East Punjab. Okay, so basically the state trifurcated. The East Punjab got trifurcated. It divided into three parts: Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab. When on 26 January 1950. Before that, it was called as East Punjab under the Punjab Reorganization Act 1966, Chandigarh. Okay, where Chandigarh remained a union territory and the shared capital of Punjab and Haryana. So you can see the Punjab until 1950, these three states were not actually existing. Okay, only this was divided into two: Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, out of which Haryana and Punjab share a common capital, Chandigarh, whereas capital of Himachal Pradesh is Shimla. The second naming happened when United Provinces to Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh, which is known as now, was called as United Provinces. Okay, which have changed on 26 January 1915, the same year. Okay. Third, Madras Presidency's Telugu region was also known as Andhra at the time or Trilingadesha or Andhra in old times. And Hyderabad states as Telugu region was known as Nizam. Madras Presidency was known as Andhra, whereas Hyderabad state of Telugu region was known as Nizam, and were combined and formed Andhra Pradesh in 1956. Again in 2014, Andhra Pradesh was divided and Nizam formed as Telangana. Again in 2014, Andhra Pradesh was bifurcated and a new state was formed as Telangana, where Andhra and Telangana have to share Hyderabad, the common capital, for 10 years, and beyond 10 years, the new capital, Andhra Pradesh, is going to get the new capital as Amravati, whereas Telangana will remain with the capital Hyderabad, right? Next, the fourth one, the next bifurcation or the renaming is with Travancore Cochin. It was earlier Travancore Cochin. It have renamed to Kerala in 1956, whereas Madhya Bharat to Madhya Pradesh in 1959, Madras state to Tamil Nadu in 1969, Mysore to Karnataka. Karnataka was earlier called as Mysore in 1973, Uttaranchal to Uttarakhand in 2007, and Orissa to Odisha in 2011. So these have been a few changes which are quite important and relevant in terms of exam point of view, right? Similarly, the union territories have been also changed, like the Laccadive, Minicoy, and Amidivi Islands to Lakshadweep in 1973 and Pondicherry to Puducherry in 2006. Since I was talking about the renaming of states, similarly there are many cities. If you go to state-wise, you will find many cities whose names have been changed. Like for example, Madras, the city Madras was renamed to Chennai. Bombay was renamed to Bombay, right? Baroda was renamed to Vadodara, and so on, right? So many such things have been changed. Out of these are very important, especially the years, like Travancore Cochin was changed to Kerala on which year? So obviously the answer should be November 1956, when Mysore was renamed to Karnataka in 1973, and so on. Okay, so it is quite important to understand the other aspects of the topic. It's not important that whatever topic has been given, the questions are bound to come from that. But usually we have seen that questions have popped up on the sidelines of the given topic. Okay, so one have to keep uh, an eye in this as well. Now, the next topic, the next news was NRC list only draft on July 30, 2018. This was the news. Basically, NRC stands for National Register of Citizen. Okay, let me write itself. Where is the pen? Hmm. National Register for Citizens. Basically, this is what exactly is this? Okay, let me talk. Basically, this is a registration process where names, basically this is the purpose is, I'll come to the purpose what it is. Let me first talk. This is basically a purpose where people have to enroll and register their names for the citizenship in Assam. Okay, names of those person who appear in the NRC in 1951, the name which appears, the ancestors whose names appears in NRC 1951, or any electoral roll up to the midnight of March 1971. Okay, 24th March 1971, whose ancestors name appears between this, they will be provided citizenship, and the people other than 1971 after March 1971 cannot be treated as equal citizens as treated before 1971. Why? Basically, the reason is to track illegal immigrants, because it is believed that many illegal immigrants have been taking shelter in Bangladesh, and because of which in last few years there have been law and order situations, and it has been quite difficult for the government to look after this matter. Okay, apart from this, an updated why it is important, I told how we are going to obviously NRC registration. But what important above all this is the NRC. When we are going to talk on NRC, here the importance is on Assam Accord, because the reason of this NRC have came in picture with three people in line. One is Union Government, one is Assam Parishad, Jana Parishad, and one is SO, Student Union. Okay, so this have come in line with Assam Accord 1985. In 1985, an Assam Accord was signed between the Government of India and the leaders of Assam movement in New Delhi. Okay, so MOU between India government and the local leaders of Assam movement were signed on this 1985 on 5th of August. The key demands, basically, why this Assam Accord was signed. The reason was for some key demands, like foreigners who had the key demands were foreigner who had entered Assam. As per them, foreigners who have entered Assam from 1951 to 1961 should be given immediate citizenship with right to vote, whereas persons who have come from 1961 to 1971, their citizenship, they even should be given the citizenship, but their voting power should be delayed to 10 years. Okay, it should be extended after 10 years. And the person who comes after, who have came after 1971, should be treated and should be deported with Bangladesh. Though this is not that easy and important, because if we are going to treat them as illegal, and if you try to deport to Bangladesh, even how Bangladesh is going to look into the affair, no one knows. And because of this, there may be a the diplomatic fabric can also come to hold, and the relationship which India is right now enjoying with Bangladesh probably will come into stake. So they have, apart from this Assam Accord and Agreement, a parallel package for the economic development of Assam, including a second oil refinery, a paper mill, and an institution of technology, was also worked out. Moreover, legislative and administrative safeguards to protect the cultural, social, and distinguished identity and heritage of Assamese people were the main focus. What was discussed? The student union basically opposed any move by the center. Here, the SO student union have opposed the center's move to grant to citizenship to Hindus from Bangladesh. So they have opposed to grant citizenship to Hindus from Bangladesh, and because of that, ASU and Assam Government Parishad have expressed concern over the growing cloud of illegal migrants. Right. So this is important. The topic was only in NRC, but it is quite important to understand the importance of NRC and how NRC is linked to Assam Accord 1985. What was discussed in Assam Accord and what is the reason? Here in Assam Accord, Union government is pitching to allow citizenship to the Hindus who are migrating from Bangladesh, and Assamese, the local Assamese have been opposing. The local Assamese, in the sense the leaders Assam Gano Parishad and also have been against this allowance of even Hindus from Bangladesh, because they fear their culture will be under serious attack. They believe they will be losing land. They believe they will be losing their credentials. So that is how it is happening. So recently the government have announced that on July 30, government is going to come up with a draft. Government will come up with a draft so that any recorrection or any changes, if required, can be done accordingly. Right? I hope I'm clear on this. So when we are talking on this, so we have discussed NRC, right? We have discussed NRC, we have discussed Assam Accord, but we haven't discussed Assam. And it is quite important that we should also understand Assam as well, because there may be questions, there are many questions hidden in Assam itself. Right? So already have talked about this, that what is this NRC, Assam Accord, what was the Assam, what are the safeguards, right? MOU, key demands, safeguards. The MOU was basically between the government of India and the leaders of Assam. Okay, basically the two group of leaders which are very much in line with this particular MOU is Assam Garishant and SO. Okay, SO or ASU. Key demand was obviously to treat post 1971 persons as illegal, safeguarding basically their rights. What discussed was obviously the discussion was giving citizenship. Okay, and additional, I have told you that this Assam Accord is in line with NRC. Now, when we are talking Assam, we need to understand this Assam is neighbor of how many? Assam is one of a state which is neighboring maximum number of states. See, it is Assam is neighboring Arunachal Pradesh 1, Nagaland 2, Manipur 3, Mizoram 4, Tripura 5, Meghalaya 6, right? And this West Bengal even. So this is 7. 7 is West Bengal, right? So it is neighboring 7 states. First one, Arunachal Pradesh. First, capital of Assam, Dispur. Capital of Arunachal Pradesh, Itanagar. Nagaland, Kohima. Manipur, Imphal. Mizoram, Aizawl. Tripura, Agartala. Meghalaya, Shillong. West Bengal, obviously, Kolkata. So Assam is a neighbor to 7 states and not to 3 countries, right? One is obviously Bangladesh and the other one is Bhutan. You can see here a narrow part is neighbor to Bangladesh, and here this part is border to Bhutan. Okay, so it is important to understand the map as well. Here, Assam is famous for some few things like Manas National Park, Wildlife Sanctuary. Manas Wildlife Sanctuary is in the border. This is in the border of Bhutan. Brahmaputra River, which enters to Assam via Arunachal Pradesh, and the source of this Brahmaputra River is obviously Mansarovar Lake in Tibet. Nameri National Park. Then we have Guwahati. Guwahati is an important city of Assam. Kaziranga National Park. So Manas Wildlife Sanctuary and Kaziranga National Park, these two have been given UNESCO heritage. Okay. Then we have Majoli. I'll be discussing in detail. Divrugarh, Hulangampar, Bihu Festival. Assam is famous for its Bihu Festival. So important things in Assam is Brahmaputra. So Brahmaputra festival is also celebrated. There are many festivals related to Brahmaputra in Assam. Brahmaputra initiates with Mansarovar Lake from the glacier, Kailas Glacier in Tibet. It enters to Arunachal Pradesh and then to Assam before getting into Bangladesh and falling into Bay of Bengal. Assam's famous cultural program, the culture is Bihu. It have 3 Bihus. They celebrate 3 Bihu in a year. One in January, one in April, and one in December. The one which is celebrated in January is called as Magh Bihu or Bhogali Bihu. The one which is celebrated in April is called as Bohag Bihu or Rangoli Bihu. This is very important. Huh? This is very important in terms of exam point of view. Then Konglai Bihu or Kati Bihu in December. Magh Bihu January, Rongali Bihu April, right? And Kati Bihu in December. Assam is also famous for Kamakhya temple, the Hindu temple, the famous Hindu temple. Majoli, which is one of the largest river islands in Asia. Majoli is a river island in Assam. Kaziranga National Park, which is famous for one-horned rhinoceros. Okay. Then Bhut Jalokia, one of the hottest chilies of the world, is found in Assam. When you go to the history, it is basically the history lies with Ahom kings. Those kings have been longest continuously ruling dynasty of India, which ruled for nearly 600 years. The Ahoms dynasty was established by Sukapa, a Sran prince from present-day Myanmar and China. Assam is also famous for Assam teas and Assam silks. Okay, so apart from this, the important things over, as I have already told, the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Assam have been given to 2. One is Kaziranga National Park for this one-horned rhinoceros, and Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, which is border to Bhutan, which already I have expressed. Kaziranga is also a refuge for the first disappearing one-horned rhinoceros, which already I have discussed. Okay, so this is a endangered animal. So saving their heritage is quite important, and Kaziranga is a home to such one-horned rhinoceros, right? Now, when we have discussed this, we are talking about Assam. So whenever we talk on Assam, the important question which emerges in north is the Purvanchal range or the northeastern range important hills. So here, if you see the hills, Garo Hills, Jaintia Hills, Bizo Hills, Puktai Hills, Naga Hills, right? So even these names are important. Okay, so try to understand this. Now we are talking on northeast. From Assam, we have shifted to northeast. Dafla Hills. It is basically situated to the north of Tejpur and Lakhimpur and is bounded on the west of Aka Hills. You need to understand where is Dafla Hills, Abhor Hills, Mismi Hills, Patkai Bum Hills. Abhor, already I've told Dafla Hills mentioned north of the Tejpur and North Lakhimpur. When it comes to Abhor Hills, it is located in the region of Arunachal Pradesh. So Abhor Hills is located in Arunachal Pradesh in the far northeast of India near the border with China. This is in border with China, bordered by Mismi Hills and Meri Hills. This region is drained by the Dibang River. Dibang River is nothing but this is Brahmaputra River. Brahmaputra is known as Dibang. This is Brahmaputra. Brahmaputra River. Brahmaputra River in Arunachal Pradesh is called as Dibang by Dibang River, a tributary of the Brahmaputra. Then Mismi Hills. These are the hills which are located in the southwest extension of the Great Himalaya Ranges and in the northern and eastern parts which touches China. So northern and eastern parts which touches China, this is Mismi Hills. Then Patkai Bum Hills, it is situated in India north with Burma, border with Burma. Okay, Patkai Bum Hills. I'll show you in diagram so you can see here. Here, this is the Patkai Bum, right? So Burma, Burma means Myanmar, and this is in border with Myanmar. So this is Myanmar in this side, Patkai Bum. Okay, and here you can see the Mismi Hills. Okay, so Nagaland, where is Nagaland? It is in the border of Assam. It is actually on the left side it is Assam, and on the right side it is Myanmar. In the east side it is Myanmar, and on the west side it is Assam. So obviously it is located in India, extending into Myanmar, which forms a divide between India and Myanmar. Then Manipur Hills in Manipur, okay, located in the north of Nagaland, Mizoram, and the south and upper Myanmar, in the east of Assam, in the westbound Manipur Hills. Then comes Mizo Hills. It is formerly called Lusai Hills. This is an important name over here. It is formerly called as Lusai Hills. Mizo Hills was formerly called Lusai Hills. It is located to the southeastern Mizoram state, northeastern India, forming part of the North Arakan Yoma system. And last but not the least, Tripura Hills. So these hills are series of parallel north-south folds decreasing in elevation to the south until they merge into the greater Ganga-Brahmaputra lowlands. So they merge into the greater Ganga-Brahmaputra lowlands, right? So you can see here from how I have changed my steps from NRC to Assam Accord to Assam, and Assam to Northeast Mountains. So similarly, you can go your way. My point is quite obvious. When we are reading something, we are trying to link things so that we nearly capture many aspects from the topic, so that any questions comes in or pops up from the topic can be answerable in the exam, right? So the remaining are Mikir Hills of Northeast, Garo Hills, Khashi Hills, and Jaintia Hills. Mikir Hills in the south of Kaziranga National Park, Garo Hills in Meghalaya, Khasi Hills in Garo Khasi Range in Meghalaya, and Jaintia Hills in the east of Khasi Hills. Okay, so this was all about the northeastern hills. Then comes the next topic. Here comes the next topic, watershed development projects lagging behind? We need to first understand that what is this watershed development project. Now let me tell you that watershed development project is one of many such projects from Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Okay, this purpose is basically for irrigation. So this irrigation yojana, this irrigation policy, that is Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana, watershed development is one of a project of PMKSY. Okay, so what it is? Okay, basically the watershed development is making running to water stop. Okay, this is what? Running water to make it stop. And to make it stop is to make it standing. Purpose is to get the water sink in the water table. Okay, basically the purpose is this. Within the site, a ridge is identified. How it is done is, within a site, a ridge is identified and structures such as check dams, percolation dams, ponds and channels are built from the ridge to the valley. Okay, the benefit, what is the benefit of this? The benefit of this is that in long run, okay, in long run, the results are impressive. If you take the 2018 evaluation, as per Manrega, about 78% beneficiaries saw an increase in the water table, whereas 68% have reported better availability of fodder. So the funding have been quite an issue, because initially it was proposed 90:10, where this 90 part will be sponsored by the center, 10 part will be state. But 2016 onwards, it has changed to 60-40, where 60 is to be shared by the center and 40 by the state, right? And because of that, this particular kind of project have gone slow. At present, the situation is very bad because only 10% of the projects have been completed so far. Okay, so in this whole process of water development, two things comes into picture. One is PMKSY, as watershed development is one part of this Yojana, Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and the other one is Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Employment Guarantee. Okay, so I'll elaborate these two separately. First, PMKSY. Okay, Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana. When we go for Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana, this scheme was basically subsumed to 3 erstwhile schemes. Okay, earlier these schemes were independent, but these 3 have been integrated together. That is by accelerating irrigation benefit program, integrated watershed management program, and farm water management program. Okay, so the lot more we can go if you go deep into things, but as of now, because of limitation of time, I'll keep strict to this. Okay. Similarly, Manrega. Manrega is what? Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Here I need to correct this one. It is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, please correct this one. MGNREGA. It is basically an Indian job guarantee scheme enacted by legislation on August 2015. On August 2015, Manrega came into picture with an Indian job guarantee scheme. Please correct this MNRGA to MGNRGA. The scheme provides a legal guarantee for 100 days. How much? Legal guarantee for 100 days of employment in every financial year at minimum to adult members of any rural household willing to do public work related unskilled manual work. Okay, at a minimum wage of rupees 120, which is now increased to 200 in 2009 prices, which have increased to obviously 200. What is the plan of Manrega? Under this Manrega plan, the central government will meet 3/4 of the material cost, whereas state will go for 1/4. Okay, where the work have been stipulated. The manual works are water conservation and harvesting, afforestation, rural connectivity, flood control, construction and rural embankments, digging of new tanks or ponds, percolation tanks, and construction of small check dams, and etc. Right? So this is what this Manrega work stipulated to do. Coming to next topic, the next news was 30 years after Bofors case. 30 years after Bofors case, India ready to induct artillery gun. Now India is ready to induct artillery gun. Which two artillery gun? One is K9 Vajra and M777. K9 Vajra is basically imported from South Africa, and this has emerged with L&T, Indian L&T, and Hanwha Techwin of South Africa, L&T of India, Larsen and Turbo, and Hanwha Techwin of South Africa. So these two have come together to get K9 Vajra under Make in India initiative, whereas M777 is an initiative and is a product of US based. Okay, so these are quite important things one need to understand in this particular case. Next, 100-year of Montfort reform. This was also a news. Now, why it is important? Under this news, the important things which can capture is this Montfort reform have turned to 100 years. Okay, what this Montfort reform we can get for our current affair question is bicameralism. This Montfort reform actually first time introduced this bicameralism. It extended the principle of communal representations, separated for the first time, I'll explain again all this, separated for the first time provisional budgets from the central budget, and 3 of the 6 members of the Viceroy Executive Councils. Okay, the importance is, though this month, this particular July month, marks the 100th year of publication of this particularly Montfort reform, commonly known as Montagu-Chelmsford report. What are the features? The features, if I talk about the feature, it relaxes the central control over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central and provisional subject. It have first time separated the central and provisional subject. The central and provisional legislature were authorized to make laws on their respective list of subjects. However, the structure of government continued to be centralized and unitary. Right? The first. The second, extended the principle of communal representations over here. So here when it comes, basically it was the first time when it extended by providing separate electorates for 6 Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians and European. It granted franchise to a limited number of people on the basis of property, tax or education as well. Okay. Apart from this, 3 to 6 members of Viceroy's Executive Council have been formed and have to be Indian. That was what was declared. It created a new office of the High Commissioner for India in London and transferred to him some of the functions performed by the Secretary of State for India. It provided the establishment of a Public Service Commission, and hence a Central Public Service Commission was set up in 1926. In 1926, first public commission was enacted. It provided for the appointment of statutory commission to inquire into and report on to working after 10 years of its coming into force. But it was how thing is that this was what have come in Montfort reform, but it was not actually received very well with Indians because the 1990 reforms did not satisfy political demands in India. The British have repressed opposition, that is the Congress then, and restrictions on the press and on movements were reenacted through the Rowlatt Acts. From here, the important terms which comes out is the Rowlatt Act. Okay, so this Rowlatt Act, when it was introduced, 1919. Introduced in 1919. Basically, what happened is this British have tried to repress opposition. This act allowed certain political cases to be tried without juries and permitted interment of suspects without a trial. This Rowlatt Act was one of a very dangerous act because this have allowed and permitted the British government to allow certain political cases to be tried without even juries or trials. These measures were rammed through the Legislative Council with the unanimous opposition of the Indian members, and because of this, Indian members have unanimously opposed, and these measures were widely seen throughout India, a betrayal of strong support given by the population of the British war effort. And from this Rowlatt Act 1919, what the next term comes into mind is the Magna Carta. Magna Carta of modern India. It was 1998, went on to become the basis for the Government of India Act 1919 and 1935 and ultimately the Constitution. So the key principle of responsible government, self-governance and federal structure grew out of these reforms, right? So the Act of Indian Constitutional Reforms along with this Montague Declaration are thus worthy claims of the title of this Magna Carta of modern India. When we're going to talk on Magna Carta, 1919, 1935 have been very important years because 1990 have been the year for Rowlatt Act, whereas 1935 have been the year for an exceptional rise of the Congress in fighting, in democratic fighting and coming into the constitution partially in line to fight the British government, right? So I have discussed both the acts, Rowlatt Act and Magna Carta. Next, Indian government have amended definition of hydrocarbon to include cell. What actually it is? Okay, thing is, what necessitates this move? We need to understand first what has necessitated this move. First, understand what is shale gas. Shale gas is basically the gas which is underneath the ground, which we can trap. It is one of a natural gas which can be used as a energy, which can be used for energy purposes. Okay. Now, what was the necessity for this? Prior to this, basically the definition excluded cell, and therefore bad companies for exploiting it. This have before this it have bad companies to exploit it from fields that are producing conventional oil and gases or coal bed methane. Basically, the coal bed methane is a unconventional, or this cell gas that is nothing but coal bed methane, CBM. Let me write, this is CBM, coal bed methane. CBM is an unconventional form of natural gas found in coal deposit or coal seams. CBM is formed during the process of coalification. The transformation of plant material to coal, and finally after when the soil get deposit year after year, finally the coal underneath the ground start producing a gas, and that gas is nothing but shale gas, or it is also called as coal bed methane. Shale gas is basically, in short, a natural gas formed from behind being trapped within shale formations. It is unconventional source of methane like coal bed gas and tight gas. It is colorless, odorless, lighter than air. It is cheaper than natural gas, releases 50% less carbon dioxide, better source for generating electricity. It also provides feedstock for petroleum industry, which is turned into fertilizer, plastics, and other useful stuff. Okay, so this has been a very important, and that is why the significance of change that is required is the amendment of the definition of petroleum is welcome move. That's why for the government, so amendment to explore this cell gas, this cell as of now, exploring cell gas without proper documentations or proper law is obviously illegal. So that is why this India have been trying to amend the definition of this hydrocarbon produced in great numbers. The next important topic for us is Poshan Abhiyan. Poshan means nutrition. Okay, Poshan, the meaning of Poshan is nutrition. Poshan Abhiyan to ensure proper nutrition. First of its kind, launched to tackle multi malnutrition through multi-modal interventions. Target to reduce malnutrition through convergence, use of technology, and targeted approach. And this is basically in line with Union Ministry of Women and Child Development, which is headed by Maneka Gandhi. And initially, it will be tried in 32 districts. Inclusions of 32 new districts under this Poshan Abhiyan. Okay, basically why it is in news, because this Poshan Abhiyan, which have been organized by Union Ministry of Women and Child Development, had recently organized this second meeting. This was the second meeting which they have organized this year of National Council of India Nutrition Challenges. Okay, the outcomes, basically the outcomes were like it is going to include 32 new districts under this Poshan Abhiyan in the current year, and this will help to saturate all district of union territories that were left out under phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1 and phase 2, union territories were left behind because it was a pilot project, and slowly it is being upgraded to the next 32 new districts. In principal approval to guidelines for construction of Anganwadi centers in urban areas, the in principle approval for Anganwadi centers and slums under Anganwadi services. Month of September will be celebrated as a National Nutrition Month every year. The month of September is going to be celebrated as National Nutrition Month every year. So take this point important in terms of exam. September henceforth will be called as National Nutrition Month. Okay, so this Poshan Abhiyan, that is National Nutrition Mission, was basically launched by Honorable Prime Minister on 8th of March 2018. This was basically launched in 8th March this year itself in Rajasthan, Jhunjhunu, Rajasthan. This Abhiyan targets to reduce stunning undernutrition anemia. The target is quite obvious, to fight for nutrition deficit in children. Okay, so to reduce stunning undernutrition anemia among young children, women, adolescent girls, and reduce low birth weight. Reduce low birth rate. The target of the mission is to bring down stunning children age group from 0 to 6 from 38.4% to 25% by 2022. but it have understood that the children who are undernutrition, who are undernourished, are a reason from the mother itself, because if a mother itself is anemic, so it is quite obviously that it is going to be get transferred to the children. So India is taking a big leap step in basically empowering women and children's in nutrition, in the field of nutrition as well. So one thing is for sure that in recent 2 years, India have improved a lot in terms of women empowerment, women nutrition, as well as child nutrition. Though we have to cover miles, we are still very far to cover this 100% of coverage. But the initiative is good, and it looks good, and it's great to see that we will be shortly in some years, if we will be going in this in this speed, definitely will reach in some time, but still we need to increase the speed when it comes to empowering women and children. Next news was Green Mahanadi Mission. Okay, so when we're talking about Green Mahanadi Mission, here we need to understand what is this Green Mahanadi Mission. Okay, Green Mahanadi Mission is basically a mission of river Mahanadi, of course, right? Here, when we are talking about Mahanadi mission, we need to understand this Mahanadi at what is the source of this river and where it is actually falling, right? So when we go to the source of this river and where it is falling, it is quite important to understand the map as well. So Mahanadi is basically a river which is actually is a source of water for two important states. One is for Chhattisgarh, and one, you can see this side, this is Chhattisgarh and this is Odisha. Okay, so here the river actually, if you see this, the river initiates from the Dhamtari districts of Chhattisgarh. Okay, somewhere here, Dhamtari. The origin is Dhamtari district of Chhattisgarh, and finally it enters Odisha and falls into Bay of Bengal. Okay, here why the topic Green Mahanadi Mission is given is the Green Mahanadi Mission basically envisages rejuvenating Mahanadi River and its tributaries by increasing recharge capacity through massive plantation. Basically, a government is taking initiative for a massive plantation beside the river Mahanadi, and under this mission, a green belt with width of 1 kilometer will be created on both sides of the river, beginning from the place where the river enters Odisha to Paradip, where it merges with Bay of Bengal. The plantation will be undertaken over 75,760 hectares government land beside 47,470 hectares private land as well. Okay. Now, when it comes to Mahanadi, Mahanadi, as I have told, it initiates from the Dhamtari district of Chhattisgarh. Mahanadi is one of the largest Indian peninsular river that drains into the Bay of Bengal. The kilometer this river captures is near to 857 kilometer. Okay, so this Dhamtari district, which is near to Raipur. Okay, the Mahanadi River is a river of eastern India. The Mahanadi River rises in the Satpura range of the Central Asia. The major tributaries of Mahanadi, you can take it, note it down as Sionath. Then we have Jong, we have Hasdo, we have Mand, we have Ib, Ong, Tel, etc. These are the tributaries of this river. Recently, this have also been in news because of Mahanadi having a fight between two states, Chhattisgarh and Chhattisgarh and Odisha, because the Odisha government in recent have moved the Supreme Court in December 2016 for an order asking Chhattisgarh to stop construction of barrages, which Chhattisgarh is actually constructing in the upstream of Mahadadi, because indeed it will affect the flow of the river to Odisha and in the ecosystem to Odisha as well, right? Chhattisgarh gets the maximum portion, that is around 75,136 of kilometer square, whereas Odisha 65,580. Jharkhand also get a part, that is 635, whereas Maharashtra bit 238. The Mahanadi originates in the Sihao mountain in the Satpura jungle of Dhamtari district, as already discussed, in near to Raipur in Chhattisgarh, and terminates Bay of Bengal. Before terminating Bay of Bengal, it comes to Orissa after Chhattisgarh. Mahanadi ranks second after Godavari among peninsular rivers in respect to water potential. This is 851 kilometers length of the river, out of which 494 are in Orissa, 357 in Chhattisgarh. Though the kilometer is more, but the area covered is less, right? So these are the few stuffs I wanted to share in regard to this particular topic. Then the next is the Congress has submitted a notice to Lok Sabha Speaker Sumita Mahajan for privilege mission. Privilege motion, not mission, privilege motion. What it is? What is privilege motion? First, we need to understand what is this privilege motion, right? Privilege motion, basically what it is, when, how should I tell, is when a motion is produced, basically what happens is, recently you must be seeing that, as of now, to understand this, we need to understand bit of this. Like, as of now, there are two governments which are in major, which are face to face. One is obviously the NDA government and the other one is UPA government. So right now, NDA government is ruling, whereas the UPA government is in opposition. This privilege motion is basically parliamentary privilege, are basically have certain rights and immunities which are enjoyed by the members of parliament individually and collectively, so that they can effectively discharge their function. When any of these rights and immunities are disregarded, any of this are disregarded, the offense is called the breach of privilege and is punishable under law. Now, why it have came, right? Why it have came? First, we need to understand why this have came, because the Congress have submitted the notice against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for allegedly misleading the House on the commercial value of the deal to buy Rafale fighter fights from France. Basically, the point was Rafale. What the opposition is telling, that the Prime Minister and Defence Minister, okay, the Prime Minister and Defence Minister, they have breached their privilege. So who can bring this? Who can bring this? A notice is moved in the form of a motion by any member of either house. Anyone can move this. Okay. So one of the member of Congress have moved this. What are the rules then governing to privilege? As per rule number 222. As per rule number 222 and chapter 20. In chapter 20, rule number 222 of the Lok Sabha rule book, and correspondingly rule 187 in chapter 16 of Rajya Sabha rule book. This is in accordance to Lok Sabha. Whereas as per rule number 187 of chapter 16 of Rajya Sabha, okay, it says that a member may, with the consent of the speaker or the chairperson raise a question involving a breach of privilege either of a member or of the House or of a committee thereof. The rules, however, mandate that any notice should be relating to an incident of recent occurrence and should need the intervention of the House. Notices have to be given before 10 a.m. to the speaker of chairperson. Now, what is the role then after it is given to the speaker and Rajya Sabha chair? The speaker or the Rajya Sabha chairperson is the first level of scrutiny of a privilege motion. The speaker or the chair can decide on the privilege motion himself or herself or refer it to the privilege committee of the parliament. Okay. So in the Lok Sabha, the speaker nominates a committee of privilege consisting of 15 members as per respective party strengths. A report is then presented to the House for the consideration. Speaker may permit a half-hour debate while considering the report. Speaker may then pass final orders or direct that the report may be tabled before the House. Similarly, a resolution may then be moved relating to the breach of privilege that has to be unanimously passed, and in the Rajya Sabha, the deputy chairperson heads the committee of privileges, right? So as per that, you can see. So the rules, obviously I have made the rules. These are the rules. So this can be bought by any of the member in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. And the point of bringing this privilege motion by the opposition was Rafale fighter planes, which are getting procured from France, nearly 36 numbers, okay, against Prime Minister and Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. That what they are telling, that the present government, which have made a deal to procure 36 Rafale jets, are procured with a greater amount than decided by the Congress. Okay. Committee to check mob lynching. Recently, Supreme Court have come across with a stern message to the government to look after this lynching, where people are taking laws and order in their hand by killing cow vigilance, by coming with cow vigilance, and in the name of cow and religion and many other stuff. So recently, even that, for that reason, government have formed a committee to check mob lynching as well, looking into the present and the need. There is nothing much to discuss over here. The next important over here is the Prevention of Corruption Amendment Bill 2018. Here, this prevention of corruption, what are the highlights? Because this is going to punish. Why it was important is obviously to bring a transparency and to come above corruptions. There is going to be a punishment for bribe taking, minimum for 3 years, which can be extended to 7 years, with a fine from earlier 6 months with extension to 3 years. Undue advantage have also expanded earlier in this. The earlier limited definition of undue advantage was expanded to now include anything other than legal remuneration. Okay, even gifts are criminalized, bribe givers are criminalized, corporate bribery is criminalized, immediate forfeiture, law enforcement empowered from immediate attachment and forfeiture of illegal property of public servants, invoking provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act, timely trial, that is the investigation and trial that have to happen within 2 years. Okay, so when it comes to bribery, what is new in this? Giving a bribe is now a offense. Understand this, because you are a young students and tomorrow you're going to work. So be careful in this. What is new? The new thing is giving a bribe is now an offense punishable by a 7-year prison term, except when one is forced to give a bribe. If one is forced, then this is not a criminal offense, but giving a bribe solely without a force is obviously a punishable offense. But How one is going to understand this? It have to be reported within 7 days. Why we stopped undue advance defined as gratification other than legal remuneration. No specific provision except as abatement. Okay, because it could empower the public to refuse. This will empower the public to refuse to give a bribe, but 7-day limit may not be enough. So what you have to do is, henceforth, if you come across any office, any organization who asks bribe to you, then you can use this forum. And if you use this forum, you know what it is: punishable by 7-year prison. Okay. Pre-investigation approval. Police officer cannot begin probe without prior approval. Cannot begin probe prior approval of relevant authority of government. So no such provision in the Act, but a rule similar to it was struck down by Supreme Court. Sanctions for prosecutions. Sanction needed for prosecuting formal officials for offences. Center may notify guidelines for sanctions. What it was, sanction was required under PCA. Okay. Criminal misconduct. Only be 2 forms of criminal misconduct: misappropriation of property instruction to public servant, intentionally enriching oneself illicitly. Forfeiture of property. As per this, property will be forfeited and it will be bought under Prevention of Corruption Act under 1944 through civil codes, right? Next, recently Prime Minister before going to attend BRICS Summit 2018 in South Africa, he have flew to Rwanda and Uganda, right, before reaching to South African countries. So here Prime Minister have given 200 cows to Rwanda government. Now, when you're going to talk Rwanda, you need to understand the capital of Rwanda. Okay, the Rwanda capital. What is the Rwanda capital? It is Kigali. Kigali is the capital of Rwanda, and the currency used is franc. That is Rwandan franc. Rwanda is famous for the genocides. Okay, between Hutu community and Tutsi community. I'll strongly recommend all of you to watch this movie, Hotel Rwanda. I strongly recommend you to watch this movie, Hotel Rwanda. You will understand this Rwanda government, you will understand the genocide of Rwanda and where it is. Okay. So Rwanda, when you go through Rwanda, you can see here the neighbors of Rwanda. Democratic Republic of Congo is on the left side, on the west, along Lake Kivu. On the north it is Uganda, and on the east it is Tanzania, and in the bottom it is Burundi. Okay. So Uganda capital is Uganda. If you go to Uganda, so the Prime Minister have first come here, Rwanda, then Uganda, and then to Johannesburg. Okay. So Uganda capital is Kampala. Currency is Ugandan shilling. Capital of Tanzania is Burundi. Capital of Burundi is Bujumbura, and currency is again franc, Burundian franc. Demographic Republic of Congo, the capital is Brazzaville, and obviously here also the currency is Congolese franc. Okay, so you can see here. So these are the neighbors. I have also missed this. Basically, I have missed this. What? Tanzania capital. I think you must be knowing this, but still, let me tell what is the capital of this Tanzania. Tanzania currency is Ceylon, and when it's come to capital, the Tanzania capital is Dodoma. Okay, so Tanzania capital is Dodoma. Capital is shilling. Okay, Tanzanian shilling. Burundi. Okay, I should better write it. Bujumbura. Bujumbura. Okay, see, this is here, it is there. Bujumbura. And the currency here is Burundian franc. This is the currency. Okay. Similarly, it was capital and currency of Tanzania. Rwanda, capital is Kigali. Currency is franc. Uganda, the capital is Kampala. Okay, this is the capital is Kampala. Its currency is franc. And Congo, the capital is Brazzaville. Okay, I should write it here. Brazzaville. Okay, Brazzaville. So that is all about Rwanda. Next, more than 50 banks and financial institutions in India have entered into an intercrator. How it is important? How it is important, maximum creditor, because in recent the Indian banks have been fighting with this Indian this NPA. Okay, one second. Sorry. What is basically this intercreditor? This intercreditor agreement is basically aimed at the resolution of loan accounts with a cease of rupees 50 crore and above that are under the control of group lenders. Okay, so this is a part of Sussex plan. How it works is the agreement says like if 60% of it says that if 66% of lenders by value agree to a resolution plan, it will be binding on all lenders. That are descending creditors will, however, have the option to sell their loans to other lenders at a discount of 15%. Okay, so basically, this is an intercreditor where here it is aimed at the resolution. In simple, you understand, it is aimed at the resolution, okay, of loan accounts with a cease of rupees 50 crore. Okay, so that is important. So significance will be like it is a huge step forward basically in tackling bad loans. Okay, the importance is to tackling bad loans. How? By certain policies. Okay, nothing else, nothing more to understand here. Next one is social responsibility, that is CSR, social responsibility under NCF for government, NCF for development works at historic moments. Here if you see the main focus is basically to create a fund that is a charitable impact, okay, so that the fund be managed and administered by a council headed by a honorable culture. The basic purpose responsibility so that monuments can be preserved. Like as per latest data, about 904.80 lakhs have been received by the social cultural social responsibility from different corporations. Okay, and this NCF was basically set up in fact in 1890 in November, this under the Charitable Endowment Act 1890 in 1996. Actually, I should write this was under the Trust Act of 1890, which was actually established in 1996 by the government with a view to mobilize extra resources through public-private partnership. Extra resources to PPP, public-private partnership. Okay, the fund aims at inviting the participation of the corporate sector, non-government organization, private public sector, as well as individuals in task of promoting, protecting, and preserving India's cultural heritage. All the projects undertaken by this NCF are completed within a specific period in accordance with an MOU signed by the NCF with the concerned donor organization. Okay, and the donations or contribution to this NCF. Okay, donation to this NCF, that is National Cultural Fund, are eligible for 100% tax deduction under the Income Tax Act 1961. So anyone who contributes money towards NCF, that is National Cultural Fund, will get a 100% tax deduction under the Income Tax Act of 1961. Clear? We'll move to next topic. Aspirational district. So you can see here itself I have brought the table. No need to look further. Gujarat is topping the list as per the aspirational district. Okay. Gujarat is topping the list because what actually is this aspirational district? The focus is basically to enable optimum utilization of the potential. So in utilizing the optimum utilization of the potential, this program focuses closely on improving people's ability to participate fully in burgeoning economy, health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, financial inclusion, skill development, basic infrastructure, and more. Finally, it is an overall development which is going to happen over the district. In this, Gujarat is topping the list at rank 1, followed by Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, and Tamil Nadu. So these are the particular states which are leading with this particular district. These are the most aspirational districts of this particular states, right? Next is the amendment bill. Lok Sabha have recently passed the National Council for Teachers Education Amendment Bill. It basically it's conducting teachers education courses with NCTE approvals. About when you go to the NCTE Act, it is a NCTE Act. I should write it. NCTE Act is a 1993. Okay, central government set up an NC Act 1993 and 1995. These are the 2 years important to this. To formally oversee the standards. First, it was initially initiated in 1993. Then, because of some reason, it have moved to 1995. And again, it is a picture. Basically, the council functions for the central as well as the state governments. Okay, so the conducting teachers education courses without NCT approval is not recommended at all. The statutory body of the central body, as already I have mentioned here, 1993 and 95. This bill seeks to grant retrospective recognition to institutions that have been notified by central government, funded by central government or state or union territory government, but do not have recognition under the parent act. Okay, so these are the few points which one need to understand. And here the bill seeks basically to grant retrospective recognition to institutions that have been notified by central government, funded by central government or state or union territory government, but do not have recognition under the parent act. Besides, these institutions must have offered teachers education courses on or after establishment of NCTE until academic year 2017 and 18. Okay, so that is what it was in news. In the same time, Lok Sabha have passed Negotiable Instruments Amendment Bill. This is basically to primarily address issues of dishonor of checks. Okay, this act defines promissory notes, bill of exchange, and checks. It specifies penalties for bouncing of checks. Okay, it's basically penalties of checks like interim composition, deposit in case of appeal, and returning interim compositions. Then we have Sikh Tower Committee was tasked for suggesting steps to enhance combat capability. A recent committee was established for actually to enhance combat capability in defense. For this, the person who was heading was actually Sikh Tower. So on his name, this committee, Sikhatkar Committee, is named. Sikhatkar Committee have recommended the following things: optimization of signal establishment to include Radio monitoring companies, corps, air signal regiments, air formation signal, composite signal regiments, and merger corps. Restructuring of repair echelons in the army to include base workshops. Redeployment of ordnance echelons to include vehicle depots, ordnance depots. Better utilization of supply and transportation, like animal transport units. Closure of military farms and army postal establishments in peace locations. Enhancement in standard, like here this is important because in peace location there is no special requirement of army postals and special military farms. Then enhancement in standards for recruitment and improving the efficiency of national corps. These were the few recommendations given by Sekatkar committee, who was asked to give recommendation for improvement in defense systems. Last but not the least, the first meeting of India-Bangladesh Joint Committee on Border Health was recently held in Agartala, Tripura. Where is Agartala? Agartala is in border to Bangladesh on the west. On the east side, it is Assam and Mizoram. Okay, Agartala. So here, Agartala is the capital of Tripura. Border hearts are basically hearts which are opened to both the citizens, Indians and Bangladesh, that is the people of Tripura and Bangladeshis can come together to these border huts and can do business activities under the strict observations of military, and this in fact and indeed will improve the relation between the two countries, right? And this basically this will improve the relationship between two countries, and the border hearts basically will be a very important promotion for the well-being of the people dwelling in the remote areas, basically across these two borders of these two countries. Okay, between the borders of these two countries, by establishing traditional system of marketing. Earlier there was marketing, but there was no such border. But once this border have come, the manual culture of business have somewhere gone into downtime. So to improve that, the government have come with an initiative, Border Heart, in accordance with Bangladesh as well. Currently 4 border hearts are operational along the India-Bangladesh border. Okay, 2 hearts are located in Meghalaya, at 2 are located in Meghalaya. Okay, I should mention here, two are located in Meghalaya at Kailchar and Balat, and 2 are located in Tripura in Srinagar and Kamlasagar, 2 in Meghalaya and 2 in Tripura. So total 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 border hearts which have been located over here. The commodities which are allowed to sell in the border hearts include vegetables, food items, fruit species, minor forest produce like bamboo, bamboo grass, broomsticks. Okay, but excluding timber. Products of cottage like gamcha, lungi, etc. Small agricultural household implements like plow, axe, spade, chisel, etc. Garments. Okay. So apart from this, 6 more. 4 already. There are four borders. Border hearts have been already started. Another 6 is going to start in coming. Two are going to come in Tripura. Okay. Out of 6, 2 are going to be coming Tripura for sure. So with this, we are done with today's current affairs class. And before I complete my session, I'll go with Vikram Batra's quotation. Vikram Batra, Captain Vikram Batra, who is no more with us, but his bravery will remain with us throughout our life. He said, before getting into the war, either I will come back after hoisting the tricolor, or I will come back wrapped in it, but I will be back for sure. This means a lot because being a citizen, one's duty is to obey the fundamental duties of the country as per the constitutions, right? So with this, I will sign off for today's class. We'll meet again in the next class. Have a good time. Have a good day.